Look at the new set. You heard our feedback. You are now. I asked for blinds, and instead I got a "Beware Poker Players and Loose Women" poster. Is that what that is?
It's like a metal poster, and those are blinds too. Down.
Okay, all right. I was gonna say, yeah, you look much crisper. I think this is a huge upgrade.
All right.
Yeah. It sounds like any other big home improvement projects in the last week.
I got my Wi-Fi working.
Okay, no more hotspot life.
No more hotspot.
There you go. And you have a generic black hat on?
Yeah, I only buy generic hats, no logo.
There you go. See, I have a generic red hat that I like, and then I get like roasted for it. And so now I can only wear it when I'm doing, characters. People, the generic hats really tilt people.
Good.
I put the tweet out. How triggered are you that I'm wearing a mesh jersey right now?
Well, I didn't even read the tweet. I just directly retweeted it.
Wait, do you Ron Burgundy these retweets? I could say, Brian is one of the dumbest people I've ever met. And you just smash retweet it.
You could have. You definitely could.
I need to start experimenting with that.
That's not. What is the Gorillas? What is that?
It's actually a music blog. It's my favorite music blog.
Not the same thing.
I know. I was trying to trigger you. Brian. It's hot here in Massachusetts. The humidity's up. I need to wear a tank top. I need to wear a jersey. Technically, there is one man behind this music blog, so I am wearing like another man's jersey in a way, and I just want to make sure it's okay.
It's fine. It's not the same thing. Is that Boston game gonna play? What I need the Boston to play.
Well, I don't even know. What sport is this? Baseball?
Baseball.
I mean, Brian, some of us are gearing up for a sport that is still like, 2.5 months away. We can't be bothered with sports that are going on right now.
All right. Fair enough.
So what? This is, you're worried about, is it a delay? Is it in Boston? We did have some thunderstorms here earlier.
Yeah, it's in Boston. Looks like 7:40 Eastern.
You want me to give you a boots on the ground take? Look out my blinds here.
Playing, huh?
Yeah, let me give you a meteorology report here.
Yeah, you do that.
Oh yeah, whew! Some dark storm clouds rolling in, Brian. I would get those Red Sox out of your lineup now.
Game's already started.
Okay. Hope you don't have too much exposure. Brian, did you play Ohani?
That's supposed to be Otani, but I don't even know. Probably. I just play them all.
Look at you, the guy who roots for the Atlanta Falcons, now correcting our chat on how to spell names. How far you have come.
Both are right. You think one was wrong. There wasn't. I was right on both accounts.
It's true. Tomato, Falcon, Falcons.
There you go. Premier League, Premier.
Yeah. So what's going on with you these days? What bee is in your bonnet?
I'm looking how much Otani I got. 9%. Oh my God, he's getting rocked. Minus 14 points already.
I assume that's relatively unusual for a score.
That's bad for a pitcher. Davis must be crying in his beer. Yeah,
we're talking about the pitcher / hitter extraordinaire.
Yeah,
Otani here.
Yeah, that's a rockin'. He must have given up like 4 or 5 runs in an inning.
That's no good.
Oh well, I had 9% down the drain. Hey,
sometimes you gotta. What's the phrase?
No one
sacrifice a few good hens.
No one to fold them.
Eat a good chicken. I don't know.
No one to say Falcons.
So tell me the story behind this sign. Beware poker players and loose women. I've seen the beware of dog sign. Is this a sign from back when you lived with a bunch of poker players in a brothel?
My mom bought it for me.
Dude, that is such a mob gift.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
It really is.
Did she get a real big kick out of the loose women part?
I think so.
Yeah.
Or just the whole thing. Who knows?
Okay. Yeah. Does your mom at your childhood home, do they have throw pillows that say "Home is where the heart is" and stuff like that?
Kinda. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a few of those like Oprah sayings, you know?
My mom loves that kind of stuff.
Right.
And she also, my mom, like growing up, she would have a theme for like every room in our house. So like our kitchen had a watermelon theme for a while. So like every little watermelon trinket would then go in the kitchen. Our family room had an Americana theme. And she like cycles through these themes. I think it's now a rooster theme. Now that I got married on Cape Cod, my bedroom has a Cape Cod theme. This is what moms do. They love the themes.
Okay. My mom does the seasons. She doesn't go crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. It's I think my dad's reined her in a little bit these days. It's like you can't just go to the store and buy this just every, watermelon trinket anymore in this economy. I
think he's lost that war long ago.
We had the same sign in our poker room in college. Fun fact, not a lemon. A lot of women visited that house.
Just like this room.
No way, Brian. Once they hear about the successful DFS player who just sold his apartment at the top of the housing market, they know you have all that money squirreled away in very reliable cryptocurrency.
NFTs and crypto.
Do you own any non-Top Shot NFTs?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
No, I was gonna do. I didn't I mention this before? I was gonna do some piece of any of the art stuff we were looking at months ago, and I never pulled the trigger. And it was still the same thesis I had the whole time. I don't think DFS bros and sports betting bros are gonna decide what the art market is. That's kind of like the new art market. I like Andy Warhol types are gonna figure this out and make it cool. You know what I mean? Now they might be right, but I don't know. I think it's kind of a bit fucked up. And like I don't like this whole economy anyways. So like, it's not like you can just sell $100,000 NFT like that. Like no. we have that problem right now.
We don't know if we have that problem. Have you put our Jokic up for sale?
No.
So how do we know if we have that problem?
You want to put it up for $100,000, see if it goes?
Yeah. Let's do it. Might as well.
Probably fat finger it in for $10 and then we're fucked.
Yeah, seriously. No, I mean, think about this though. It's it's probably worth 75 and then you get a 25,000 LOLs bump. People just wanting to have an NFT that was owned by LOLs.
Yeah, I doubt it, but maybe.
Yeah. Beeples are right next to the metal bro signs, 25% off. I mean, yeah, so some of that stuff. The Beeple auction, that does look like a very interesting point in history in retrospect.
Yeah, I mean the apes and the punks, I guess they're a little different. There's like that whole game aspect to them, the rarity parts of it and stuff like that. But to me, it just seems like the new art market.
Yeah, but what do you mean by who decides it? Because I would say right now I wouldn't even say it's DFS bros and sports betting bros, even though I think that makes up a good chunk of our circles who are into it. But it's more like just the Twitter kind of cognoscenti, and that includes crypto Twitter. It includes sports betting and DFS Twitter. It's almost like that hive mind in general. I wouldn't say the DFS bros of the world are shaping art direction.
I might be in a little bit of a bubble. That's fair too. But like I don't see like Doyle Brunson going to Christie's and deciding the auction in the 60s. You know what I mean? Like I don't see. I don't know. It's hard to picture.
You mean the Peter Jennings of poker? That Doyle Brunson?
Exactly. That's my point. Is I don't see them deciding. And like Andy Warhol's like, Doyle's right. We should take this to Studio 51 or whatever the hell that studio was.
Well, to me though, there are, so like the Beeple stuff in a lot of those one-of-one artists, to me, I feel like those are fairly analogous to the art stuff, but don't you think there's a little bit difference? Like if you take the apes and you take like certain art like have a giant community aspect around it that has the kind of avatar utility stuff to it? I don't know. It feels like there's something more there than
it's a bunch of rich snobs community.
I wouldn't say, but the whole reason Bored Apes took off is because
the real life art market.
Oh, real life art. Yeah,
real life art market. Yeah, they have a community. You're not welcome there. Neither am I. You know what I mean? They have. Trust me, I know some of them. They have like art galleries and stuff like that, and they're getting a bunch of art funding from the state. And
so what you're I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Their version of the online water cooler and flexing is just in real life at cocktail parties, art galleries, that stuff.
Thing on the wall that costs $200,000. It's a whatever thing I wouldn't know, right? You might end up in the Jackson Pollock section of the art museum here. You know what I mean? Like that shit makes no sense to me, but it's worth millions.
Yeah. Do you like the idea? I hear about this idea of flexing a lot, of, your profile picture, your CryptoPunk, it shows that, hey, I'm someone who can afford, a $50,000 JPEG. We even see like the screenshot life. I've seen one time a Brian screenshot of your DFS account. Does flexing appeal to you?
That was a one-time thing for Ben the Better version.
Someone who needed to be flexed
wrong with someone else flexing. I got nothing wrong with it. This is one of those like things where I don't care if you wear a jersey. I just think if you think about it logically, it makes no sense in any other context. I don't care if you flex. I generally probably won't.
Yes.
For the most part, I've never have. But I mean, I have bought nice things when I was younger to try to get girls. So like,
what? See, I've actually never done.
I don't want to go down this road, but go.
Hang on, no, I do. I really want to know. You can't just leak that out and then not expect me to follow up. What have you purchased?
A nice car and a house and shit like that.
That's not ridiculous. I thought you were gonna say like,
crazy.
Like a watch or like a boa constrictor or something.
Well, I did buy a boa constrictor, but no, I mean, yeah, nothing crazy. But it's not like you're just buying it just for yourself, even if you think you are.
Did it work?
Yes. Yes, it does.
But like, does it work in that it's just like a signaling mechanism, or is it like, no, now they expect you to spend lots of money on them?
I think it's mainly a signaling mechanism.
Yeah.
Speaking of getting canceled.
Yeah. Yeah, this is the kind of story I wanted. Buying a big spinner chain in high school. Like I want like the dumb stuff you bought, like a crotch rocket motorcycle or something. I don't even know what
a spinner chain is. Is that like a big gold chain with something on
the front that
you can spin? You're
so uncultured. Thank you for this comment, David. Yes.
My beehole.
Yes. I think it's interesting how there is like those levels where a lot of the CryptoPunk stuff can feel like a flex, but then like with the Bored Apes and some of these other stuff, I think people genuinely like the idea of feeling like they're a part of something, that they're a part of this club. And it was accessible to most everyone who wanted to be. It wasn't at, a $15,000 minimum price point.
Definitely flex. That flex is definitely tough to signal.
Yeah.
I doubt your Bored Ape is going to be, you're going to do a bar. Like, check this out. Like, what the fuck is that?
No, but
$60,000.
No, but it's all an online flex. Yeah. No one is going to care about that in real life. Dudes. But I even see these NFT influencers and they'll be like, the amount of followers I got when I changed my profile picture to a CryptoPunk or whatever. It's like the flexing is all in the metaverse. Good luck showing off your NFTs at a bar to a stranger.
Right. But that I could see followers, because then that's maybe that's the overall flex you're paying for.
Yeah.
And if you go on like, I don't know, whatever date, Tinder or whatever date, then it's like, oh yeah, I got 20,000 followers. No big deal.
Yeah. Thank God I'm happily married and I've never even had to have that thought cross my mind of saying that to a stranger.
Oh yeah, but if you weren't,
Oh, if I
it
weren't,
would
dude,
be
I'd be walking
dropping.
around. We actually just hit
Oh, I
20.
dropped my phone with my Twitter open on my profile.
Oh yeah, 22.7K. That do anything for you? It
Ugh.
was Andy did say that. I will say in Andy's defense, he basically did it as like a trial balloon experiment. Andy can afford basically any NFT he wants, and he was doing it with the Bored Apes. I love Andy. That wasn't shade at Andy. A metaverse flex is the worst kind of flex. Yeah. I mean, right now, because the metaverse doesn't really exist. So it's like you're just flexing in an empty parking lot.
Is the metaverse like those art museums with NFTs in it or whatever?
Yeah, I think like where I heard about it is so you have the Larva Labs guys, they released CryptoPunks. It's purely an avatar project. You change your profile picture, whatever. Then they do the Me Bits thing. And that's like it comes with like the 3D files and that kind of rendering, with the concept being once there's a true metaverse and you're walking along and going to your metaverse concerts, you're your actual Me Bits 3D avatar. So they're like saying it's the next evolution of avatar projects.
Okay.
So
yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's overall, obviously I have no problem with anyone spending money however they want.
I will say, like, as far as the metaverse stuff, tell me, would this be cool? I think it would be kind of cool if we were doing our show right now, quote unquote, in the metaverse, and the people in the chat had their avatars, and we could pick like our setting. Maybe we're at a dive bar, maybe we're at an outdoor concert venue, theater in the round, whatever it may be. We get to choose. We're in the metaverse. We're doing our show. And then we're seeing the avatars of the people who are in the chat, the 53 people watching now. It used to be about 100, but apparently we've fallen off. And then you could see like their avatars. Maybe when you do a chat, it looks like you yell something. You have your like Top Shot moments draped around your neck in a spinner chain. I don't know. Like some of that stuff could be fun.
I like it. I like that the museum that I walked through, you know, obviously online with the NFTs was cool. That whoever built all that shit. I'm down with it. Throw on the 3D head goggles.
I know. I do really I have my Oculus. I need to do something with it. I haven't gotten around to it. I need to do it.
I mean, I love that shit. Like, spending, I mean, this started with that idea of like, that was kind of enough for me to like, kind of like, whatever. Like I could have been convinced to buy some of that, but I just kind of thought of it. Most of it is like artwork, and everyone I see on Twitter is just a sports bro. And like, what they have no business spending $100,000 on a piece of art.
Here's the problem though. I understand where you're coming from, but I've seen a few of the people who have actually positioned themselves as art directors, as NFT tastemakers and curators that don't come from our world. Mm-hmm. And I think their takes are trash too. So it's like, who ultimately does decide? I think everyone's just shooting from the hip and they're like, that looks cool or that doesn't look cool.
But isn't that the mystery of art, the real art world for us as well? Where we're like, why is this Jackson Pollock worth millions of dollars? I do not fucking get it. They get it. I don't. So I'm not going to get involved.
So, but why it seems though, like you reflexively want to reject something that a sports betting bro likes, or that might be a tastemaker type thing.
Yeah. If it was like, let's just say predominantly female thing, like knitting or something. That's true. Come on, give me a fucking break. Cancel me all you fucking want. Knitting is predominantly female. and then fucking the DFS Doe Brunson of DFS, Peter Jennings goes like, these fucking knitting what are those things called? I don't even know what they're fucking called. Those stupid utensils they use to knit. These are the best ones, and they're $2,000 a pop, and I'm gonna buy the first set. I'd be like, yeah, I don't think you know what you're talking about.
So my question then is, you then have to give me an authority figure I can appeal to for this stuff. You can't just say no one knows what they're doing, including these guys. Then someone has to have the credentials to be an NFT tastemaker.
I'm saying that who knows how it's going to shake out. They might be right. And
right.
And it's just a small part of my decision. Not all of it. I could be having an Abe avatar 2 weeks from now. I'm not.
No, I guess what I'm just hinting at is there any archetype of individual background resume where you would be willing to respect their artistic thoughts on NFT art?
Like, yeah, like currently, yes. So, I mean, but it would have to be like someone like no one I would know on, like I follow online probably.
Yeah.
Somebody in real life here, maybe in Chicago. Like, oh no, that guy's the blah blah blah. I don't know.
But like you're looking for someone with an actual technical art background who can appreciate these on a higher level than just us thinking something's cool or not.
Sure, and I just think also there's a chance that world hasn't caught up yet with this NFT craze, and they will, and they'll start doing their Jackson Pollock. I don't know why I keep referencing him, but whatever, fancy art stuff that I don't understand. And then that'll start getting popular and then shared in those communities. And I just listened to this podcast about like the 1920s or something. What's like the jewelry store in New York, like the legendary jewelry store? I can't remember the name of it, but like one of this guy kept trying to sell like white pearls. I guess they were like worthless. No one wanted them. And he was friends, though, with this jeweler in New York in like the 1920s. And like he goes, I'll tell you what, I'll put one of them up front. And they made like a necklace out of it. And I'm probably paraphrasing this story, but anyways. And they priced it at like these high prices that this jewelry store did, or even higher, even though it was worthless. And he couldn't sell it to any other jewelry store. But they all saw it in this window of this posh jewelry store. And it started flying off the shelves. And this guy made a fortune just from this trend of this worthless. And then, you know how white pearls are still to this day pretty popular, right? Or at least they're kind of a meme in the jewelry world. Like something like that.
Yeah.
Right? Like they decide, not me, not this group of people. But like you said, I mean, first of all, like I said, it's only a small part of my decision. And I'm in a bubble in my Twitter world too. So maybe there is mostly other people and art people involved already, and I'm not just seeing it. I'm not seeing it. Maybe I'm wrong.
But maybe too, isn't the appeal of NFTs and this whole kind of concept in general is I do agree, a lot of the bad things that come with NFTs, the pump and dumps, the influencers, the tastemakers, all pushing their own agenda for their own financial gain, yada, yada. But it is cool when you do see some of these talented artists, like Ferocious is a guy that's getting a lot of pub right now. He was just on CNN and stuff where like they don't need a legacy tastemaker. They don't need some guy with an art degree to tell them that their art is worthwhile. They just put it out there and the market decides, which I know you love the market deciding things. It just so happens in our bubble, a lot of DFS and gambling bros have decided these things are valuable. And we might just be reflexively not liking that. But it doesn't necessarily change whether the art is good or not.
Oh, I'm not saying, no, I'm saying, first of all, I couldn't decide anyways.
Yeah.
Right. Based off of just going to some of these museums, I'd be like, that looks like a painting a 5-year-old would make. I don't get it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I have no business judging it in the first place. Yeah. And it very well may be the case. I've already conceded that, and they're right. And they made some great early investments or something like that. But when you're looking to spend $50,000 or something, you know, I'm weighing I'm like, I don't really care. It's kind of hard to sell. I don't like this market at all anyways. Like,
yeah,
I have no idea what's gonna the nominal value and how it's gonna change with the inflation that's going crazy. I don't know if anyone's paying attention, but there's an article of something going up in price every second. You know what I mean? Like if you're paying attention to this stuff. So it's like, and I don't think these guys know, but you made a good point. I might be looking at like 1/12 of the NFT world. And in that other, 1/11 or 11 out of 12 is a whole bunch of people who influence the art market as a whole, and it's already down that road. I don't fucking know.
Well, I will say this to your point. I've seen lots of crypto bros, NFT influencers who like seem to have a good read on things from an investment thesis. What's the community look like? What's the kind of the rarity, like the trade aspect? But most of the like quote unquote art appreciation boils down to I either like X animal avatar or I don't. Like there's not a lot of nuance out there right now. Like I can't even name like an NFT art critic or someone that's actually critically analyzing these projects from an artistic perspective. I haven't seen it.
Right. Yeah. And maybe the worlds will blend in together too, where the guys who decide that the Picasso at Daily Plaza here or the Bean on the lake shore, whoever decides to put those, you know what I mean, in Chicago and decides what goes in the art museum and what's expensive and what's not, whoever those people are, once they start, and they're usually generally probably older too.
I think you've now become what you hate, which is a DFS sports betting bro pontificating about the value and inherent nature of art, Brian.
And that's my whole point is I don't know.
I don't either. I think that's why everyone is on Twitter and they're just like, I genuinely like the pickles. I genuinely like the chihuahuas. I think people are just buying things that like.
It's an expensive pickle. Tiffany's is ever they're saying in chat. That's probably it.
Yeah. I was gonna say Tiffany's was the first thing that came to my mind, but it seemed too obvious.
There was a long time ago. I can't remember all the details of the podcast, but one of those.
You were too busy buying new houses and new cars to actually buy one of those girls their own Tiffany's bracelet, Brian.
That's true. Bought a few actually, but what do you think about this idea? And Top Shot steals some of like Zed's ideas, and you could like play your players against other teams and stuff virtually, and gamble and like have a gamble on it. Yeah,
I mean, have you seen it all? Like it didn't quite do it for me, but have you seen what Moment Ranks did with they had basically like a DFS style game with moments you owned?
Oh no. That's kind of interesting.
Yeah, it was kind of cool. Like the scoring was a little convoluted and it was like, I don't know, just it was a combination of too simplistic. Like it was only a few moments, but then also the scoring was convoluted where it was hard to sweat, I think. But there is something there. There's a guy in my Discord. I don't know if he's watching tonight, Fran Millionaire. He's always in my Discord being like, who wants to bet moments on the game tonight? Like wanting to gamble his moments and have fun with that. I do think there's some interesting stuff with that.
Yeah, something that I like that Zed that they actually horse race. I think that's kind of cool. I've only watched one, maybe two. And is it still a straight line?
Yeah, it is.
It'd be tough. I don't know about doing the whole game or something. I don't know. But something they can gamify it a little more too. Could be interesting. I love that part of Zed, and I think you can gamble on it too, right? Like your horse money. I
went to a bar on Sunday night with a couple of guys here in Boston that I hadn't seen in forever, and they were watching the New England Revolution game, and then we were talking about Top Shot, and they even mentioned Zed, and we were all saying like, how fun would it be if we could just tap the screen right there on one of the bar, video game screens. Pull up a race. All three of us enter with our horse. We can all just bet, a little bit of Ethereum there. 8 other random people hop in and we get to sweat a race at the bar with our own horses. Like that would be so fun as far as a gambling sweat.
I know you could go to a horse race bar that were legal horse race, but and actually do it in real life.
But I mean like your own horse that you own.
Yeah, that is cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
That reminds me of a bar idea I had of so like a sports bar, but then you put right at whatever, you put an iPad or some computer display right there. And then you get like an affiliate deal with DraftKings or FanDuel or whatever sports book. And then, lines on the wall and everything. And you could just bet right there, right at your bar, right at your table or right in front of you, like a casino, where they have the blackjack games and stuff like digital right in front of you at the bar like that, except with sports betting.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming it'd be legal. I haven't really looked into it, but because it's not yours, it's legal mobile betting. you'd have to probably log in, but maybe you could get some sort of deal where you log in on the bar's account, right? So you don't even need to have an account, and you're obviously over 21, and then like on your tab, you keep adding however much you bet.
Yeah, it'd be very fun. I just realized another now rhythm that this show falls into. We have the Vegas Dave. Last week we returned to that classic, but you and I envisioning a better world for content, for gambling, for stuff. I feel like we like kind of being imaginative with that stuff.
Yeah, I guess that's true. That is true. Yeah. I definitely think about that stuff.
Yeah, it's like hard because when you say the ideas out loud, it seems very cool and a world I want to live in. And then it's like, how long is this going to take? I mean, that's the whole thing with crypto in general. It's like the promise of crypto, it feels so tangible. It makes so much sense. And yet it feels like it could be 10, 20, 30 years away from being like fully realized.
Yeah. And there's the risk of what will happen when the government really digs their hands in it. And they're looking at it. The Fed had another thing. They're releasing more and more every day about what they're thinking about with crypto.
Yeah. Yeah. And it seems like all of these, not even just the United States, but now all of these governments are like, okay, we get it. Crypto's a thing. We're going to do our own digital currency. So we'll give you digital, but we're going to manage it. And it's like, wait, no, the whole reason we like this shit is because it's decentralized and you can't control it.
Right. And it's just a matter of like how they want to handle it. I think regulation's inevitable. It's just you could regulate like three things basically. You could regulate the people, the currency, or the businesses. Yeah. So like to regulate businesses would be like how they did with poker. You didn't regulate poker or people. You said businesses can't process transactions from poker companies or online casinos. So like you could do that. You could say like businesses can't accept crypto, or businesses can accept crypto, but at a higher fee. And this fee is because crypto is X, Y, or Z, which is their standard playbook that it's causes global warming, it's racist, hurts minorities, whatever. And for those reasons, we have to pay more to use crypto. Could be something. They could just do people. That would be harder. And then you would fine people for using it or impose a higher tax, higher than cap gains or something like that. And you force that through the IRS, which would just still be a random sample, which is how most government mostly checks for like people doing illegal things, because they don't have big enough staff to check everybody, so they have to kind of like do random samples. Or you just like go after crypto somehow, which would be easier than people, but harder than going after businesses. Usually they just use businesses and they just say business can't do X, Y, or Z in some fashion. And so like, I think of it as like a bell curve where like on the far extreme end is outlawed, like a 1% or less chance. And then the other extreme end of the bell curve is like they don't do anything, right? It's totally decentralized, which they've already violated that for some things. And then in the middle is what they're going to do in with regulation, all the way towards outlawing or more free market stuff. And it'll probably end up in the middle.
Yeah. I mean, it still feels like for them, it's like this moving target that they don't even conceptually even understand what they would be drawing up regulation for.
They're way behind. They have no idea. Like when I was working at the state and giving updates on the poker legislation in Illinois here, which was eventually killed because of the casinos, which Connecticut is having right now. We were talking about this in the Discord earlier today. So anyways, I had like some inside knowledge on that. And then eventually I had some inside knowledge on the DFS stuff because I was working at the Capitol. And I would go on 2+2, the poker forum. And go like, hey, if anyone has any questions, I could probably answer them. And their questions would be like, are they going to allow 200-man sit and goes? Are they going to allow, like all like 10-25 spreads on cash games? And it's like, guys, they have no clue what you're talking about. Like, they didn't even know online poker existed. Like, half of them didn't even know it was, the vast majority think gambling is a tax for stupid people. We've said that before. Like, they don't, and then when it comes down to it, and maybe we could talk about the sportsbook topic of this.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with logic. It has everything to do with power and who has it. And then negotiating power with their allies and their enemies.
Yeah.
So like for Illinois, the Rivers Casino is a super powerful lobbyist group. The guy's last name's like Bloom, I think. And he did not want poker because he thought it was going to hurt his bottom line.
And all the loose women that come with it.
Canceled. And some of the like horse tracks didn't want it.
Yeah.
Because they thought it was going to kill him. So poker stood no shot. DraftKings in FanDuel had a better shot. They have more money. They had a little bit more money. Fantasy was already accepted. A lot more people were doing it. And I was in a meeting with some legislators and Jason Robbins a long time ago before it was legal. And Jason Robbins his argument was why it should be legal was like, imagine if you regulated Facebook in its second year, right? Like, imagine how much pain and like problems you would cause Facebook.
Yeah.
And I was sitting there, I was a lot more experienced with the state than he was. And I'm like, this guy has got no idea what he's dealing with. No idea. Like, they could give a fuck about that. That analogy, by the way, is logical. He's right. That's a free market argument. But gambling in their world, like, gambling is 100% the state's realm.
Yeah. I feel
you have no right to gamble. We decide if you get to gamble.
And I feel like that's a perfect segue into what's going on in Connecticut. Our buddy Eric Belair was very much lamenting this in the Discord. I have the article popped up here. It's brutal. I'll just read a little bit of it. When Connecticut's new sports gambling law takes effect on July 1st, all of that will change. Connecticut will transform instantly from one of the most favorable states for fantasy startups to one of the most difficult. Effective July 1st will require any DFS operator that wishes to operate in the state to both A, reach a cooperative agreement with either the state lottery or one of the two tribes in the state, and B, secure an operating license by paying a registration fee to the state. One of the two plausible readings of this new sports law would limit each Native American tribe as well as the state lottery commission to one DFS partner, a result that would create a state mandated triopoly. So with DraftKings and FanDuel well positioned to pay gargantuan sums to secure fantasy sports, this would leave everyone else in the industry fighting at best for one single available license. A free market, but a very, very expensive one.
It's not a free market.
Yeah.
Right. People could go back through our episodes and we've talked about this a lot and ad nauseum. It's not a free market by any stretch. And that's a perfect example. And what will naturally happen in our other states too. When you raise the barrier of entry so significantly, these small timers can't make it. We've already lost a couple of them.
Yeah.
And I think Underdog can't get in there. And so like they're going to, obviously it's Foxwoods and Mohegan Sun, right? These are the two big casinos there.
Yep.
And they're probably going to go DraftKings and FanDuel is going to be their partner.
That's why they're saying. And then it's up a bidding war for the third.
And it's a third random one, which I've been on scoring committees. It's all bullshit. It's not corrupt though, like where people think that they're giving it to their buddy. Generally, like the scoring committees, actually, like it depends on the size, and who knows how they do it there, but it's probably still you put together like a group of people and they look at all the bids and then go over them. But these people have no idea. they're not experts in the field. They have no there's no incentive for them to choose the best one. There's no consequences if they screw up. Like there's all the whole thing is messed up. But yeah, you're going to end up with 3 casinos. And then we sit here and take it like bitches, honestly. We go, oh, thank you. Thank you for allowing us to even have 3. I guarantee that's what 95% of the blue pill amoebas are saying is, hey, well, it's better than nothing. It's better than nothing. But either way, my point being, in most of these states, is that's what it's going to end up being.
Yeah.
3 or 4, maybe 5.
And it has zero logical consistencies. It's the same stuff in Vegas where you can go and in person gamble on everything in the world in person, but you can't play DFS. You have to drive to the California border to submit a lineup because it has nothing to do with the moral or whatever implications. It's all about whose bread is getting buttered, who stands to gain the most, and they create the laws around the power players.
Exactly. It's the Machiavellian principle of achieving political power. How do you achieve political power? Act in a way that helps your allies and hurts your enemies. So like, okay, what does that mean? So in the sense of like Illinois casinos, you have a casino that employs hundreds of employees in your district, brings in millions of dollars in revenue, and contributes to your campaigns and political funds. This is your ally. Right? And then you have Underdog or some small company. They have no employees in your state, right? They're an enemy of your ally. So if you hurt them and help Bet Rivers, you're gonna achieve more political power in the long run.
Yeah.
So that's the incentive. What's the consequence? Right? There are no consequences at all.
And then it goes back to, what happens if DraftKings and FanDuel have a duopoly or maybe a triopoly on this stuff? Well, then they jack up rake. Like there's no other show in town, right? Like then all of this stuff is ultimately bad for the consumer. Less options. The bigger sites they have no reason to cater to the customer because you have nowhere else to go.
Yep. And you're not there. They're there. They're in Springfield. They're at the Capitol. You know what I mean? So they're so like, even if you got some halfway decent deal, it's going to be gone in a couple years. It's like the camel's nose principle of politics, where you just get the nose of the camel under the tent, and then eventually the camel stands up and just blows the whole roof up. So like the casinos in Illinois were originally actual riverboats that you had to board on the river. It detached, went on like a 2-hour tour, and came back. You couldn't get off. So if you're going to go casino, this is like in the 90s or something. If you're going to go on
not
the casino,
1890s,
no, you actually had to get on there for 2 hours because this is the logic of morons with no incentives and no consequences, or the wrong incentives and no consequences. So they're like, okay, fine. It's legal because it's not actually on the ground. They found some loophole anyways. And then eventually a couple years later, they got the dock. They got the permanently dock, but it's still this boat. And then eventually that boat turned into a land casino, right? And then eventually now there's like 7 or 8 casinos. And then when you want poker or something, you're fucked because you got 7 or 8 casinos that provide a lot of money, a lot of jobs, and a lot of incentives for the representatives and the senators to work with them. And by the way, like they have lobbyists there, and who are the senators going to ask? They don't know what's going on, right? Yeah. Like lobbyists in some way get a bad deal because, like, let's say it's like a lobby you agree with, like animal rights or something. Like you'd hope they'd ask like the animal rights person for advice on a bill, right? So they would call themselves advocates, not lobbyists, but it's the same thing. Yeah. But yeah, so they only communicate with them. And so anyways, the reason I brought up the camel's nose thing is so like even if you get some sort of decent deal, eventually it changes. And by the way, DraftKings is no saint here, right? DraftKings I was at the room begging for
they benefit from this kind of behavior.
Yeah, but back before, they weren't legal yet. Right? And this is Ayn Rand. When you have power, I ask for freedom because that's according to your principles. When I have power, I take it away because that's according to my principles. So when they had nothing, they're like, come on, let us in. Let us in, Illinois. Let us in, Connecticut. Right? And then when it's like, oh, but then we're going to raise the barrier eventually. We're going to go, it's going to cost millions. Only a few kids. Well, I mean, that's the way it is. We got to look out for the mob and compulsive gamblers. And, this is really important. Right. And then they're going to have like that episode we did where they had the phone. I think we did this. They had the phone in the casino, the white 100 gamblers phone.
Yeah.
Like never been used.
Yeah.
Like that'll be like on DraftKings, like homepage. Like, no, we're helping.
Yeah. It's almost as if people are incentivized to act fully in their own self-interest at all times.
Right. And so this brings me to what we're talking about with Spanky's tweet with like prop betting and stuff.
Yeah. Let me pull that up as you start to set this up.
Kind of a good lead into how this whole thing, in my opinion, is people are thinking of like too, I don't know what the word is, but maybe when you bring it up, it'll come to me.
Yeah, let's see. Did I send that to you on Discord? Let me find that. I think I sent it to you. Yeah, I got this pulled up here. So this tweet was this must have been like later last week. And so Spanky had this tweet here. Let me make this a little bigger. So first, this guy, Jeff, was talking about getting limited on a sports book here. Spanky comes in and says, I'm going to take the bookmaker side on this one, crying dressmaker on a college football side. Very different than crying dressmaker on a player points over under. Very interesting use of capital letters here by Spanky. Proposition wagers are hung as a courtesy. If you want to last longer, learn to win betting meat and potatoes, not cotton candy.
Okay. Does anyone know what book that is? That doesn't look like an American book to me.
It looks like Bet Online to me.
Yeah, that looks like Bet Online to me. So, I guess a general recap here. It's a lot of people don't know that you can get banned for winning or limited for winning at sports books. And it depends on the sports book. But in America, I think all of them except Circa, which only is in like Colorado. They might be in one other state. They're not in Illinois. All the other ones limit. Now you can disguise your play and things like that. It's where you don't get limited super quickly. And then the like international, basically illegal sites or legal, but not Americans can't play. Pinnacle, Bookmaker, and there's probably a couple others that I don't know about. They take all action and they basically take money and move the line. Like this is kind of the motto that Spanky always preaches about being a bookmaker, not a dressmaker, which is just take all the action you can. You're going to have a lower margin, but a bigger volume, and you'll make all the money.
Yeah.
Of course, these books in the state don't do that. So if you just bet props and you win, like they're gonna limit you. And it depends. Like, I don't know if anyone watching bets on PointsBet, but they limit me, but they also, every single bet I do goes through a review, even meat and potatoes. And when he says meat and potatoes, he's like saying sides and totals and bigger markets where the max bet's higher and they're getting tons of volume and the markets are sharper. So I responded to him, but what I think he was trying to get at here. So yeah, I said, wouldn't the logic of take a bet and move the line still apply? That's his line kind of. And at what point, let's say it doesn't, like what point does the volume on the market make it okay to limit? So how big does the market have to be to make, like, if that doesn't, first of all, the logic doesn't follow. So you know what I mean? Like if you think just take a bet, move the line is what a bookmaker should do, then you could do this on any market. But like, I think what he's saying here is like more or less like you have to have a relationship with the book and play by the rules they want or something, right? Something along those lines. And that's fine. Sure, whatever. But with the legal books, you're fucked any way you slice and dice it. And maybe he can build these relationships because he's a professional bettor and he knows everyone in the industry. But basically, anyone watching this, any normal dude, you're gonna get banned and limited in American legal books. If you even smell the winning, the black.
Yeah, to me, it seemed like he was taking like a weird take because there's like the objective kind of, I don't know, like how this should work versus like how do you play the game within the rules that have been constructed by these casinos. And he's more just saying like, yeah, we just got to play the game. But it's like you're kind of pointing out like this logical inconsistency should apply to any of these types of bets.
Exactly. Like, and it's also, when we're talking free market here, and again, people could go back through some of our old episodes, like this is almost as far as you can get from a free market. These are highly, highly regulated industries. They're basically public-private partnerships. They're far from a free market of like the shoe store down the street or something like that. And so like, where do you draw the line there? So like, I would say this is definitely where you draw the line for me. Like, I am 100% a free market guy. I would be totally fine if they open up the market completely and then they banned me, and that's so be it. And a book went under and I would lose money. So be it. We'd benefit so much more by having all this competition, but that's not the world we live in. So like, what I think really this is like you're not getting. Yeah, I don't think you're getting it. Like, this is about political power. None of us have it, and they have it all. And there's no chance that like hiding it a little bit or something like that is gonna, you know what I mean? Like, oh no, the props are off limits. You got to bet meat and potatoes. Like, you're still gonna get banned, and there's nothing you can do about it for the most part.
Yeah. And then I missed this today, but OA was saying there was a Portnoy tweet. I guess I could go look for it here, showing a 100K money line bet with a reply with the same bet having a $56 limit, which sounds about right for their stuff that they've been trying to push over there.
So Portnoy got 100K in and somebody else got 56.
Here it is. Yeah. So this was, okay. So we do have Joey Knish here replying. Yeah, so Knish got a $56 bet on the same bet that Portnoy at his own sportsbook was able to place 110K down on.
Right. So this is seriously like, the only way to change this would be to put together, we talked about this before too, some sort of guy who's got tons of money, and then you have to attack them legislatively with lobbyists, try to attack them in the media, and sue them, like a 3-pronged approach. And like, this could be exhibit A. Like, no, like he shouldn't have the right to bet 100,000 when his consumer can't. And you could say that and still be a free market person, because this isn't a fucking free market. It's a state project. They shouldn't be involved at all. They have no business being involved. And it's a handshake agreement between a few select gigantic casinos and the politicians.
Yeah.
So like, you have to fight dirty, just like they will. Sending 99,000 in for approval.
Insane. So what? I mean, it's back to your playbook, right? You said it was putting the heat on someone like Portnoy, who actually might have an ear to the decision makers.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe. I don't think he gives a shit.
Nah.
I don't think he gives a shit. He's just like a hustler kind of, you know what I mean? I mean that in like a little bit of both ways, the pejorative and like actually hustle, hard worker guy. Like,
yeah, I mean,
I think he thinks that like part of the deal is like, no, man, you get the sale. That type of thing.
Yeah, he's a content guy. Everything is content.
Right. Yeah. And like he's so attached to that Penn stock price. God damn, he doesn't want it to go down to let Joey Knish fucking get down 100K. And he can justify it in his head like he did on that show where it's like, no, they're using bots and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. This is what I was thinking of doing a show if I ever have time of just like once a week or something where I go on Barstool, I make live bets, no bots, just betting props, and be like, okay, here you go. This is me. This is all I'm betting. And then they're run by Canby, who, by the way, got both Connecticut deals because DraftKings has Canby and the other one was Canby too. So you're not getting 3 books. You're getting one. So
same line at both books.
Same lines. So for you, it doesn't fucking matter because you need a line shop.
Yeah.
This is like, you know, like weed prices in California cost more than like buying it off of some dude in the street.
Right.
It's like if you try to think of it logically, it'll tear you apart. Like you'll be like, this makes no sense, but it has nothing to do with logic. It has to do with helping your allies and hurting your enemies. And when you think of that, all the contradictions make sense. You're like, oh, okay, yeah, all right. They're fucking helping their allies. They don't give a fucking shit if it doesn't make any sense.
No, they don't. It's completely fucked up. But I do like your idea. I want to see Brian take down the Barstool Sports.
You tag Portnoy every time, and then it's like no bots, right? No. What was the other thing he complained about? I don't know. He had like three. There
was the card counters. That's what he called Kiddish. Was the card counter equivalent?
Is it? Can I use a spreadsheet? Can I use a spreadsheet, Dave? Is that legal?
Yeah.
And I guarantee they're gonna limit you, especially if you just hammer lines. Yesterday I was watching the Live Before Lock Osmo show, and Trey Young got ruled out. And it was actually pretty cool, like the evolution of all this stuff. It's fun where they were like, it's a DFS show, and they're like, all right, everyone hit the props on Lou Williams overs and blah blah blah, right? Because if someone in the NBA, it's like free money. Hit the props, quick, get in there. You got to bet the or before the line moves for who are they playing? The Bucks.
Yeah.
Right. And the Bucks one I would hit, but I typed in there, no one even saw it into the Osmo chat. I'm like, that's a good way to get limited.
Because you immediately flag your account as a sharp bettor.
Yeah. You're gonna if you do that enough, you're gonna get limited. And I don't know how they'll do it in American sports books, but I've had on foreign ones, they just reject you. They just go, here's your $500 back.
Yep.
Sorry, wrong line. They don't give a shit. Like there might be some rules on that, but there's like rules in Illinois where they're not allowed to do one-way lines. They still do that. So now listen, if you're not a winning sports bettor, hammer that shit all day long. That's and this is it's gonna hurt everybody because if you run hot, or if you run lucky or do something like that, chase steam on an injury on a prop or something like that, you're going to get banned too. Even though you suck, it's already happening to people. This is all doom and gloom though, because there's really nothing you can nothing you could really do about it. Yeah,
it is. It's very demoralizing, especially just in the context too of like this fantasy sports stuff. It feels like we were moving forward in the right direction, knocking down the states. How long have you and I been talking about when's Massachusetts going to get legalized sports betting? I mean, I think a year ago we were talking about it like, oh yeah, it should be right around the corner. Like
over a year, probably.
And then squeezing out these providers, like these sites, like I love playing at Underdog. I love playing at FFPC, these smaller providers that provide niche products that aren't offered well by DraftKings and FanDuel. Like that sucks for the consumers like us that like playing these game types, like finding edges in some of these less, monolithic places. Like it sucks.
Right. Yeah, it's awful. And by the way, these principles extend to all sectors. You're getting screwed 100 different ways. You're just not an expert in those fields.
Yeah.
Cars, car dealerships, liquor monopolies. In Illinois, we have like these sectors of regions that are like dedicated to certain car dealerships, and they're just like set in stone. And like if they ever try to change it every 10 years, like hundreds of car lobbyists come in and stuff. That's why like Tesla was so hard to get to be able to sell in Illinois. It's never ending. But like if you if you think of it as logic, or like, man, why isn't this? It doesn't make any sense. So then it doesn't make any sense when you think of it as a normal human being who's not thinking this like in a Machiavellian game theory sense. And so like, it'll be like, well, they could raise revenue, and you think of all these things, and it's like, it's so frustrating. Like, why isn't this happening? Well, because they're helping their allies and hurting their enemies at any cost. So, for example, they'll be like, okay, what are we going to say? Problem gambling. The mob. Even though the mob is caused because you made things illegal. The reason the mob ran casinos was because you outlawed them, you fucking idiots. The reason the fucking drugs was illegal and by the way, expensive is because you made it illegal. So like they Harry Brown would say they'll break your leg and give you a crutch, right? So like, but that's all bullshit in an effort to help their allies and hurt their enemies. It has nothing to do. And so like you'll go through like I did, and you'll look at the studies on gambling addiction and see that it's like barely higher than kleptomaniacs, right? And you're like, okay, this is evidence. Like, yeah, okay, fine, buddy, get out of here. You know what I mean? Take your evidence and shove it up your ass, right? And I guarantee Boston has some big players in the gambling world. But you would think DraftKings would be one of them.
Well, that they are one of them. Like they're set up at the Wynn Casino to right here, the new one, to have the DraftKings Sportsbook. They're very well positioned lobbyist wise. I mean, I don't read up on it enough to know exactly what's holding it up, but you would think DraftKings would be able to muscle this through.
Right. Which means there's someone there who has a lot of political pull.
Yeah.
Maybe a couple different groups. And Boston's so old, I bet you've kind of had like the same regime there for a while. Yeah.
All right. We got to shut this down, but this was a fun yet also sobering and depressing conversation about the state of sports gambling in America.
Yeah, that was. I haven't ranted in a while.
The people love your rants. Dave wants you to run for office.
Oh yeah, what position?
Chief, our NFT, our influencer. All right, guys, we appreciate you as always. Subscribe, yada yada. Audio goes up on the Lulz feed this evening. Brian, anything else cooking up in your area of the woods?
Some PGA ownership projections up on my website for tomorrow for free if anyone wants them.
There you go. What at brick75.com?
Brick75.com.
There you go. All you need is a free account. Get access to Brian's projections, ownership wise. All right, guys. I'm Pete. Brian's Brian. Poker players, loose women. See you guys next week.